Hello and welcome to Economics Unit 3. This video is all about government policy, the many things the government does to try to keep things as fair and balanced in the marketplace, in the economy as possible. One thing they do, and this targets monopolies in particular, is passing antitrust legislation. Legislation means laws. These are federal and state laws that are passed to prevent new monopolies from forming and to break up any monopolies that already exist. Because not everyone who becomes a monopoly did so by breaking the law. But because they've become a monopoly, even though they did everything legal, you can't be a monopoly, and these laws will be passed to break you up. Now, you might still be very profitable and very successful. You just can't have a monopoly without permission from the government. And this doesn't just include individual companies. It could be a conglomerate, which is a huge corporation involved in at least 4 or more unrelated businesses that could also be considered a monopoly, and therefore can be broken up by antitrust legislation. Now, this is harder to do because it is separate businesses, and sometimes it can be difficult to prove whether there's damage being done by the monopoly or the conglomerate. So how does government decide when and how to address companies that may or may not be monopolies or doing other unfair things? Well, they do it through regulatory agencies. Most of these are part of the executive branch and report directly to the president. Regulatory agencies are government-created agencies or departments whose goal is to promote efficiency, competition, fairness, and safety. They make recommendations to the president and to the government as to whether or not a company is breaking the law or harming people in some way. And they're often the agencies, the people who actually do the enforcement of any legislation that's been passed having to do with businesses. But as good as that sounds, sometimes there are side effects, negative side effects to having these agencies, because sometimes they go too far with their power. For example, if they have too much power over a market or over a certain industry or business, they could actually decrease competition. And the less competition you have, the less incentive people have to try to improve their products and offer the best product at the best price. Competition often does this, but too much government regulation, too much government involvement can destroy some of that competition. So it's a balance. We want to protect people and we want our government to make sure everybody's getting an equal shot, a fair shot, but we also want to make sure that the government isn't going too far and making it harder for us to get those shots, those equal chances. Sometimes it's necessary for a government to deregulate a business or industry. And that is when the government reduces its regulations and controls over a business activity because it feels it's starting to hurt that industry, and through that end up hurting people, consumers like you and me. And that's it. That's all I have to say in this video about government policy. If you have any questions in class, let me know, and thank you.